What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the RPS Swing for the Fences show. I'm your host, JSU, and we don't get to talk about just MLB today, people. We get to talk about NBA too. We're going to hit on some NBA at the end of the show, but for this show, I brought in the big guns. My boys, first up, Big T. Big T, we get to talk some NBA at the end of the show. How you feeling about that?
Yeah, man, it's been a stressful day, but a fun day. I mean, we got golf starting, baseball starting, basketball tonight. We got it all going, man. It's fun. It's fun to be busy again. I forgot what this feels like. I mean, for a while there, we were having days with nothing the entire day. Now we're back where we got all kinds of things happening. And we're just beginning, too, because we got Showdown tonight, too, that we're going to put up a playbook. It's going to be a busy night and a fun night. I can't wait to watch some hoops.
Yeah, and Tony just brought up the showdown, big showdown slate for NBA tonight, guys. 100K up top, first place for both sites, FanDuel and Draftkings. And Tony's going to have a playbook all done for the showdown. It'll probably be out right after the main slate locks, maybe around 7:30 latest. So if you haven't already, get over to runpuresports.com, use the promo code, join the movement, get you 20% off. And then the other guy I brought on, who? We get to talk some baseball, and then we get to talk, your cash cow, NBA. How you feeling about that?
Feel real good. I mean, we went from a couple months ago betting on a dude doing push-ups to like 4 sports going at once with showdown slates, $100,000 prize pools. I forgot the feeling. Like Tony said, it feels weird. The anxiety's a little high today. Stress level's a little high, but feels good to be back.
Yes, it does. And if you don't notice, my RPS stuff must have got lost in the mail. I'm still waiting for it. I don't get to join the crew with the hat and the t-shirt, but Hoop has the hat and the t-shirt, and maybe one of you will too. We need to get some likes though up in this. So let's get the thumbs up going, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll figure out a number towards the end of the show to give out some swag. But boys, let's get into this MLB slate. Let's start out with the pitching, and then we'll go game by game for the hitters. So at the top, we got Happ, Berrios, Bieber, and Lamet. We'll start with those 4. Tony, I'm going to bring it to you. What are you thinking with those 4 guys?
Yeah, so, I mean, we're kind of back to where we got a bunch of the bigger gun type pitchers like Bieber. Bieber, the first time out, he was awesome. Today, he's projected for a bunch. Nice big K-prop, 6.5 with the over getting a bunch of juice. And I think it's interesting because Minnesota's been a team we've kind of targeted a little bit for bats. Tonight, they get a tough matchup. So it kind of goes both directions where no one's going to play him. Everyone's going to play Bieber. When we get to the stacks, we can talk a little more about it. But it just makes it interesting. And then you got a guy like Dylan Bundy, I think, is going to be very popular just because, as we've seen early in the year, whoever plays Seattle every day kind of gets that chalky tag just because, I mean, they scored a bunch last night too, like 10 or so runs last night. So I think he'll be the popular one. I can't disagree. So like example, Bieber's 9,800 on DK, Dylan Bundy's 8,200. They got similar K-prop, but Bundy's even higher versus Seattle. So you get kind of the game theory in my mind. Like, no one is going to play Bieber over Bundy, I don't think. No one's going to play the Minnesota bats just because Bieber. So you got to kind of find that middle ground as we work our way through the slate a little bit. Also, like you talked about, Lamet has the same K-prop, 6.5. Also minus 190, where Bundy is minus 215. So we got some good pitching options, and there's even some cheaper guys that we can get to after we hear what you guys think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love my boy Bieber. It's definitely a tough matchup. And you're right. I don't think a lot of people are going to go Bieber when looking at it. I think a lot of people are going to side with Bundy. I think Lamet will, be higher owned. I don't think people want to pick on Minnesota right now. And I mean, clearly that's one of the best orders in baseball right now, in my opinion, and it's a team that we want to stack most days. But Hoop, what do you think about Bieber? Talking about him specifically against Minnesota, and then anyone else you like in this top range?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping the matchup with the Twins lowers his ownership, which I think it will. One of the biggest headlines so far in the MLB season is how good the Twins offense has been, and it's been phenomenal. But more times than not in this sport, good pitching can overcome a good offense. So I'm going to definitely be on Bieber. I really like him here. Just not many other options, and not like we've seen. There's just not many good options night in and night out. And he had a phenomenal first start. I think he does enough to pay off the tag here tonight. And I agree with you guys on the other guys like Bundy. I think will probably be the most popular play. I mean, huge favorite going against the Mariners offense. Price is fair, so I think he ends up being the most popular. And I like him. I'll be on him. And Lamet's the other guy that I have some interest in. Like Tony said, that K prop is up there with the other guys. So, he's 9.2K on Draftkings. He's definitely in play. And I mean, those are the three guys I'm primarily playing tonight: Bundy, Lamet, and Bieber. There's really no reason to go super cheap. I mean, we have bats that are super cheap. I mean, some of these Kansas City bats continue to be really, really low owned. They have a team total over 5. So I definitely, I'm going to limit the number of guys I play at pitcher tonight.
And that would be your rank in order. You're going to go Bundy 1, and then was it Lamet 2, Bieber 3? Is that your order?
I'm going to go Bieber, Bundy, and then Lamet.
In that order. Okay, for tournaments. Yep. I like it. All right, so let's bring it down to this 8K range. Tony, specifically, we talked about Bundy. He's the clear guy in this range. Is there anyone else we can pivot to in this range that you like, or you like going lower?
Yeah, so, I mean, pitching's been a weird start to the year for me. Like, we've had a ton of members over at Run Pure have big nights. I feel like I've nailed pitcher every single day, and I just don't have a ton to show for it so far because I haven't hit offense. And pitching just feels easy again tonight. I mean, these guys at the top, Bundy and Bieber, are so solid that I don't really want to get too far off it. I think Lamet will get ownership. I don't like him near as much as the other two, though. And then as you go cheaper, like you got Robbie Ray, I always like to play him, and he goes against the Dodgers, who people don't want to pick on the Dodgers. They got probably the best offense in baseball right there with the Yankees. But Robbie Ray can strike out a ton of guys against anybody. He's super cheap at 7,100. I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at this Singer dude from Kansas City that Detroit, anytime I can play a decent pitcher against Detroit, I have to have a little bit of interest in them. He's got a good K prop at 5.5. I am interested in that. And Robbie Ray, too. Like, Robbie Ray can strike out double-digit guys any game. I don't care who he's going against. Pitching's easy for me today. Like, the guys at the top and then these guys. And even Gaussman. I'd look at Gaussman, too, at 6,100 going against the Padres. The Padres' offense has looked really good out of the gate. So it's not a cupcake matchup. But we got a good park. There's all this talk of them moving the wall in and stuff, too, in San Francisco. But I'm not buying into that. I think it's still going to be a really good pitcher's park. And Gaussman, 6,100, he's looked good, too. So I'm good with that. So those would be my three guys in the cheaper range.
All right, so Singer, Ray, Gaussman are the three. For Big T, Hoop, do you agree with Big T? Are you on those three guys, or do you have someone different in this range that you want to talk up?
You gonna talk on mute?
Can't hear what I'm saying if I'm muted, huh? Honestly, I don't see myself going down here. Like, I mean, Bundy's 8.2K, and I mean, Bieber's under 10K. Like, I can get everything I want with the bats. But if I was, it would definitely be Gaussman, it would be Robbie Ray. Those would be the other two. And that's if I'm, MMEing. Like, for the most part, I'm gonna stick with those three guys in cash games, and then I'll expand it a little bit to Gaussman and Ray, and then that's about it, like those five. But like I said, if I'm only playing a few lineups, it's probably just going to be Bundy, Lamet, and Bieber for me.
All right. I feel like we kind of hit on all the pitchers. If you guys are cool, let's move on to the hitters, and we're going to start off. We'll go game by game. So we're going to start with the Yankees versus Baltimore. Hoop, I'm going to bring it to you first. What do you like in here? The Yanks bats were popular last night. Are they going to be popular again this night? Do you like them?
Yeah, I mean, they have a massive team total, great matchup on the road. Team totals hovering between 6.5 and 7. They're going to be the most popular team on the slate by far. And we don't have a lineup out for them yet, but guys like Judge, Stanton, Torres going to be super, super popular. And then the other guys' popularity and ownership will depend on where they fall in the lineup. But this is one of those situations that Tony and I always talk about in MLB. The way you differentiate yourself with the Yankees is to look to the bottom of the lineup where there is upside. Like I said, don't have the lineup yet, but those guys at the bottom are going to be relatively or pretty low on. You can do wraparound stacks. So this is a lineup where in tournaments you're going to want to kind of get unique. And to me, the simplest and easiest way to do that is go to the bottom of the lineup. No matter how popular a stack is, you go to the bottom of the lineup, like the ownership is super, super low. So, I'm not saying like don't play the core of the Yankees lineup, Judge, Stanton. Just know they're going to be popular, and that's fine. I mean, if those guys hit bombs, you're going to need them. But the way you get unique is to kind of go to the bottom of the lineup as well and kind of tag some of those dudes.
All right. So who plays the bottom of the lineup? Tony, what are you thinking about this game? Is this a team that you're going to avoid in tournaments, or are you like Hoop? You're going to do your patented bottom of the lineup, maybe wrap around stack, something like that?
I always like a good reach around. I mean, who doesn't? I mean, so the Yankees are another team. I mean, again, I always talk about this, but if you watch our shows every day, we're going to do baseball shows 7 days a week, all the time. You're going to pick up a lot of the stuff that I think I go with and a lot of the guys go with. The Yankees are going to be a team that I pretty much play every day. I mean, they just have so much upside, so much power. I think you're doing it wrong if you're not playing some Yankees every day. I do. They don't have to be your favorite team every day, but they have to be one of your main teams just because of the power. And today they just happen to be in one of the best parks against a lefty that throws some meatballs at times. They have the highest total, I believe, of the night, not even really close. And everything lines up. Sure. I mean, all the guys at the top are in great spots. You can go to the bottom. They got a ton of upside as well. I like everything about it for the most part. And a sneaky guy the other way, too. I always say this, but Austin Hayes in the one hole against a lefty like Jay Happ, I don't mind him as a low-owned guy up top to go with your Yankees. If you play 5 Yankees, I know it doesn't technically mean anything, but right out of the gate, you got 5 Yankees. Austin Hayes in the one hole. I mean, who knows what happens when these games get ugly? Maybe the Yankees score a ton of runs. You got Austin Hayes in there facing a non-stressful situation to hit some bombs. Maybe it doesn't mean anything, but I'm more of a field player anyways, and I like playing a guy like Austin Hayes when I got 5 Yankees in the one hole. He's a stud. So, yeah, Yankees definitely. Austin Hayes is a +1.
All right. I like it. Someone in chat saying that the O's weather looks bad. I don't know about that. We'll have to check kind of.
I mean, I looked at it. It's not – I mean, it's not anything. I don't think it's a big deal.
All right. So Big T doesn't think it's a big deal right now, but
always keep it. I mean, we're 3 hours till tip though.
Yeah.
So I mean, if something changed, obviously if it gets risky, then we'll be in Discord and we can adjust.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about Discord. When you get over to Run Pure Sports, make sure you get in the Discord because it's so valuable. You can literally pretty much add us and throw us a question, right in the Discord, whatever it is, talking about players, stacks you like, all that pictures, whatever it is you have a question about, you can easily just at one of us and you'll get a response. So definitely when you join up, get in the Discord. It's very important. And it helps with the late breaking news. Tony talked about it with PGA today. I think he updated his score, might have been like an hour before the slate lock, but that's why it's so important that you're in Discord because then you see that update from Tony when he asks everyone in Discord. So make sure if you're a sub, you need to be in Discord. It's very valuable. But let's move
Hoop
on.
always makes fun of me too, but like that's just how I am. So Discord's huge for me. Like if you follow me and you want to play my cores and you want to get my info, like a lot of times I change closer to lock to where I'll post it in Discord always to keep everyone on the same pace. But who knows, like something hits right before lock tonight and somehow something changes with the Baltimore lineup or something. I'm not scared to get in there and go super heavy on a spot at the last second. So Discord is the only way I can really communicate with a large group of people without just giving away all the plays on Twitter.
And I'll tell you right now, a sport that you will definitely want to be in Discord if you're playing is NBA. Because NBA, you are going to get updates right until lock. And maybe even after lock for some of these slates that start at like 2 and end at, 9, 10 o'clock at night. So definitely a good idea. But let's move on. Cleveland, Minnesota is the next game. We talked about Bieber. Hoop, let's start with you. Do you like any of the bats from this game, or is this a stay away for you?
Yeah, I'm not going to be on any of the bats here. I mean, I guess you could potentially, if you're, in a large field tournament, take a couple stabs at the Twins. They shouldn't be super high owned with Bieber. They have upside, but I want to be on Bieber, so I'm not going to be going that route tonight. And then on the Indian side, low team total. Berrios has some strikeout potential, so I don't have a lot of interest in them. I mean, it's just this whole game. The only piece I really want is Bieber.
All right, that was easy. Tony, do you agree with who? Or are you on a different side? Do you like the Minnesota bats or the Cleveland bats?
Yeah, so it's a shorter slate, only 8 games tonight, and there's not a ton of offense outside the Yankees that people are going to like. So I don't completely hate Minnesota as like a stack where I probably wouldn't go to the bottom of the lineup just because they're not going to be popular. But like 1 through 5, all these guys can do damage against a chalk pitcher. So I think it's a good baseball spot to kind of have a Minnesota stack in there. They're not my favorite. If I was playing one team, definitely wouldn't be Minnesota. But I don't think they're kind of like the Yankees. I don't think you can really cross them off ever. They just have so much upside.
Yeah, that's for sure they do. All right, so let's go on to the Boston Red Sox versus the New York Mets. Boston has been letting people down, slate after slate after slate. Tony, I'm just going to bring this one to you. Is this a slate where we can finally jump on Boston, or are we just, off right now?
Yeah, I'm off Boston for sure until they show me some. They did pick up a little bit yesterday, got some things going, but I just look at this lineup, and against a guy like Matz, I just don't like the lineup. Outside of JD, Xander, maybe Pilar and Vasquez, I just don't see it. Like, it's not as good a park as Fenway. They're in New York now. I just don't see it. I'm off of Boston, and the Mets have been real. Ooh, is that DK doesn't have Brian Dozier in the player pool? What is up with this? Let me see here. Get Hoop's thoughts while I check on Brian Dozier.
So Hoop, while Tony figures out where Brian Dozier is in the player pool, what are you thinking about this game? Are you off the Red Sox, or is this a slate where you're just going to go back to them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not on the Red Sox. I mean, they've been a big disappointment. Obviously, if I've played them, on quite a few slates so far, and it hasn't worked out all that well. The guys just aren't getting it done. JD Martinez just doesn't have it so far early on in the season. Not a good ballpark here. Mets is good enough to limit them. So be off Boston, but really like the Mets. They're one of my favorite stacks here. Guys like Alonso, JD Davis continues to get it done for us. Cespedes. Even Wilson Ramos down there should be low owned. Jeff McNeil, he got it done for us a couple nights ago. I'll be back on him even in the lefty-lefty matchup. So I definitely really like the Mets here. I think they're one of my top stacks. I don't think ownership will be super high in them. So, on the Mets, off the Red Sox.
All right, I like it. Moving on, Tampa versus Atlanta. Tony, I'm going to bring it back to you. You figure out where Brian Dozier is?
He's not in that DK player pools where he's at. I don't know where he's at, but he's not in the player pools. I can't get a piece of Dozier. He's one of my favorites against lefties too. So, that's a dream Big T spot. Like, if I could play Dozier and Ramos at the bottom of that lineup versus a lefty, I love that. So I'm a little disappointed that Dozier's not in there. But as far as Atlanta, I definitely like Atlanta tonight. We got a good ballpark. They just have been scoring runs, especially at home in this park. You look at the top of the lineup. Acuna, Albies, Free Money, Freeman, Ozuna. You got so much upside with those guys. And even at the bottom, I mean, these dudes at the bottom, Duvall, Swanson, Camargo, Riley, Flowers, like we talk about every day. I love when you can feel confident about the guys in the bottom of the lineup having some upside. And these guys at times have shown plenty of upside. You got a guy like Swanson, 4,800 on DraftKings. People aren't paying that to hit out of the 6 hole. He's going to be low owned, super low owned, and he's got tons of upside. So, and look at the prices at the top for the good guys, way over 5K. These guys should end up low owned because they're used to the cheap price tags with some of these other stacks. They'll play the Yankees at the higher price tags over Atlanta. I like Atlanta. I played them last night. They kind of came through for me. I like their lineup even more tonight. I love these guys at the bottom. Camargo, Riley, Flowers. I'm all about Atlanta. Tampa Bay, I'm definitely off. I don't necessarily I do like Renfroe to throw a +1 in there. Definitely Renfroe in the 4 hole against a lefty. Jose Martinez, too. Maybe I shot the gun a little bit, too, with Tampa. This is a nice lineup versus left-handed pitching. Yandy, Jose Martinez, Renfroe. I like those 3. So you could talk me into a little game stack even. 5 Atlanta, 3 Tampa with those 3 lefty mashers. I might have talked myself into my main team there. I kind of like that build.
All right. Tony likes that build a lot. Who are you in agreement with Tony that you like Atlanta, or do you like Tampa a little more?
Yeah, I mean, I like Atlanta. You obviously have to make cuts on the slate, so I'm not going to have any raise. But Atlanta interests me just because the upside with these guys. They're a team that I like when they're in decent to good spots, just because there is so much upside. Acuna, Albies, Freeman, Ozuna, Duvall, I like. And like Tony said, the bottom of their lineup's not like dead guys down there that you see in some of these MLB lineups. Like, these are legitimate guys that can, carry a little rally over to the top of the order. So really like Atlanta top to bottom for the most part. There's not many guys in that lineup I will not consider playing. So definitely on Atlanta, no Tampa Bay for me.
All right, let's bring it to KC versus Detroit. We're going to stay with you, Hoop. You talked about KC as a cheaper stack that's, been kind of popular, the last couple of days, but they've done well, really. Franco, I don't know, he's in the lineup. He's hitting 5th. He's still 2K on DraftKings.
Yeah.
Come on. Is he just like a lock everywhere? Like, what are we doing?
I mean, well, they got O'Hearn batting 4th, and he's 2K as well. That's what I was talking about with the pitchers. Like, that's why I feel good playing Bieber and Bundy and the San Diego guy. Just because, you plug in on DraftKings, you plug in one 2K guy, and your lineup is substantially better. So I definitely think you'd be doing it wrong, not looking at the Royals here. Sal Perez is 2.6K batting. They have a 5.5 team total, and the main the core of their lineup, their 3, 4, 5 hitters are all 2.6K or below. Makes it easy to get in the Yankees. Makes it easy to get in any sort of stack that you want. So I mean, even Alex Gordon 2.8K, Mondesi 3K, like their entire lineup is, with the exception of Whit Merrifield, 3.6K or below. So they're just great lineup fillers. And don't be afraid to leave salary on the table either if you're going to play these guys, because that'll make you a little bit unique. But just great lineup fillers. 2K for O'Hearn and Franco. Perez 2.6K. That's just elite value. And I like the Tigers on the other side too. This total's all the way up to 10, the game total. And there's upside in there, like Scope, Crone, Christian Stewart. I really wouldn't go to the bottom too much with the Tigers, but those guys I think are solid plays. So there's a lot to like here from this game.
All right, and let's think about this for a sec. So you brought up a real good point. It is so easy when you start off your lineup building. If you want to get the Yankees in, obviously the Yankees are very expensive. They're going to be popular. Makes a lot of sense right now. People are going to easily put O'Hearn and Franco locked in their lineup. It doesn't take up a spot because if you think about it, Franco's third base, and you got DJ LeMahieu, who's second and third base eligible, so you can still play him. And then for the Yankees, at first base, you want to pay $4,800 for Mike Ford or Luke Voigt. I think you can deal with not having them in. So it actually makes a lot of sense. So Tony, for tournaments, can we find like a different, cheaper stack, or do you think you're still going to go with the KC side because they're just too cheap?
Yeah, so that's where it gets interesting, and it's one of the reasons baseball, it might be my favorite just off the radar like fantasy sport. Everyone's going to choose football or basketball. And honestly, I like those sports better to watch, but to be able to get contrarian in baseball just gives you so much edge. And like you said, like the natural build, anyone that's trying to build the best team and not thinking about ownership, like the new players out there when you first started playing, you're going to come in, put 5 Yankees in. You're going to see these prices for the middle of the lineup going against Ian Nova. And it's just a natural build. 3 cheap guys, which, I mean, why are they priced this way anyways? Like, O'Hearn, 2K, Franco, 2K, Gordon, 2.8, Sal, 2.6. Even Soler and Witt aren't expensive. It's dumb. But, yeah, I mean, you have to consider them. They're definitely great plays. I think they're more cash type plays for me just because say they do have a good game, you're really going to I wouldn't play them with the Yankees, I guess. Put it that way. Like if you play Yankees, 5 good Yankees with these 3 guys, you're not going to be different at all. It's going to be tough to win a tournament. I think it's great cash route, but if you play them with like the Atlanta guys or something that are super expensive, like Freddie Freeman, Albies, Acuna. Then play the Royals, maybe just to get a little bit different. I just don't think I'd play them with the Yankees. But, again, I mean, just super cheap. I'm not going to play the Tigers tonight just because I think this Brady Singer is pretty good. I'm actually going to play Singer a decent amount. So the Tigers are definitely a fade for me.
All right. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was going at is if you're going to play KC and Yankees in cash, that makes sense. But in tournaments, I think you got to, if you're going to play KC, maybe don't play them with the Yankees or stack the bottom of the Yankees order or something. You got to be a little different somehow. And if you're going to play the Yankees, maybe you find a different cheap stack than KC. So that's just my thought with that game. Let's move on. Seattle versus the Angels. Let's go back to you. What are you thinking on this game?
The Angels are probably outside of the Yankees my favorite stack. They are. I just love in baseball going with these late teams. 9:40 Eastern start. You saw it last night. Their entire lineup for the most part was pretty low owned. They did put up some runs. Ohtani had that 3-run homer, I believe it was. I just like going this route. They have a big team total, big favorite at home. I'm going to be on Bundy, so I want to root for their offense. I'm definitely going to be on the Angels. And like I said, outside of the Yankees are my favorite stacks just because of the ownership. Like people just don't go to these later games for offense. Then in terms of the Mariners, obviously I'm on Bundy, so no interest in the Mariners there.
All right, Tony, what are you thinking about the Angels? Any love?
Yeah, so that's where I'm a little different than a lot of people in the baseball because I do like to get contrarian. I just don't ever play these late teams as much. I don't know. Like I like the pitchers. I like Bundy. I like Robbie Ray. I don't mind Stripling, Lamet, and Gaussman. Like basically, I like all the late pitchers. I don't like Marco Gonzalez, so I guess if I was picking anyone, it'd be the Angels. But I just don't like the Angels as much as Atlanta or Tampa or Minnesota or the Yankees. Obviously, the Mets. So I get the ownership, and a lot of people play the same angle as Hoop, where you get the low ownership for sure. And like last night and the night before, these teams crushed. So, I mean, I don't hate it. I get it. It's just not what I do. Like I always play the pitchers late in these West Coast games, play my stacks early. It's just what I do. So I'll be off the Angels.
All right. No Angels for Tony. Let's move on to the Dodgers versus the Arizona Diamondbacks. Hoop. What are you thinking on this game? You like anyone here?
I like the Padres offense a little bit just because of how hot they've been.
Wrong game.
What game is it?
Dodgers versus the Diamondbacks.
Oh. Dodgers, I'll have some interest in just because I know Ray's gonna carry some ownership. So I like the Dodgers a little bit. I mean, Ray, good strikeout pitcher, but he can get blown up. Guys like Betts, Turner, Chris Taylor, Pollock, mostly the righties. And then on the Diamondbacks side, I just don't like their offense. And honestly, they're an offense I'm probably not going to be playing most nights. Stripling's good enough, so I'm going to definitely be off the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, and Tony, I'm going to bring this to you. So do you think that it's more people are going to play the Dodgers against Ray for the potential to blow up risk, or do you think people are going to try and stay away from both sides And they kind of both come, like Robbie Ray comes in low owned and the Dodgers stack comes in low owned. What do you think about that?
No, I think the Dodgers always get some ownership. I mean, they have one of the best offenses in baseball. I just don't. I'm kind of on the fade. Like I do it all year with Coors Field. Like I either play Coors all the time or fade it all the time. It's tough to bounce back and forth with these teams like this because the Dodgers are going to go off a lot of nights. I don't know. Like I like Robbie Ray's side. I just don't like the Dodgers as much as other people, I guess is the way to put it. Like every single night they're popular, and I always like them a little bit less than the public will. They got upside, obviously. I mean, their lineup is great. They got power. They got everything you could need. But again, back to the example, I just don't like them more than a team like the Yankees, and I just don't want to play them over them. I know the Yankees are more popular. The Dodgers are going to be lower owned than them, but the Dodgers will still get some ownership, so – I'm off the Dodgers. I'm going to play Robbie Ray for sure, though, just because of the upside.
All right. Tony's off the Dodgers, going to play Robbie Ray. Next game, Hoop, talk about your Padres. You got Padres versus the Giants.
Padres have a little interest in just because I like their offense. It's very, very powerful from top to bottom. Not the greatest ballpark, but like I said, it's a late game. Ownership will be low. And then on the Padres or on the Giants side, we all like Lamed. I just can't imagine playing this Giants lineup. It's a crappy lineup from top to bottom, so it makes it easy to just be off.
Yeah, it definitely does. All right, we've made it through all the games, guys. So next up, we got to pick our favorite stacks. Tony, I'm going to start
about
with
the San Diego game.
Oh, sorry, I'm rushing. I'm trying to get to the NBA talk.
I was just messing with you because I'm not going to talk about that game anyways. I like the pitcher. Right. I'm not playing hitters.
You're not playing the hitters? Well, that's perfect then. So, Tony, let's bring it to you. Let's talk the stacks. Give me your favorite overall stack, and then give me like one or two under-the-radar stacks.
So I think the Yankees are clearly the best stack. I mean, if you're not worried about ownership, you're not worried about any of that. I think they're clearly the best spot tonight. And the Yankees are the type of team that just score runs. So no matter what, you need to have some exposure to the Yankees, I think. But my team that I'm going with, I think, as I just build my main team, is this Atlanta game. 5 Atlanta, 3 Tampa Bay with my 3 kind of mashers in the Tampa Bay lineup. And somebody in the chat reminded me, I talked about the 3 guys at the top, but you got Mike Zunino, who I always like as a cheap catcher facing a lefty too. So I think Tampa's my sneaky team. I could see myself going heavy on Tampa tonight. So Atlanta, Tampa behind the Yankees for me. Minnesota too, if I had to add a 4th one as a sneaky type team, but those are my teams.
All right, Hoop, what are you thinking here? Favorite stack, and then maybe 1 or 2 under-owned stack.
Like Tony said, like obviously the Yankees are the top stack here. But if you want to get unique and different, go to the bottom of the lineup. I think their lineup just came out. We can name off some of those guys. Let's see, it's not pulling up here. Hang on. Where is that thing? So you got Gary Sanchez at the bottom. You got Voit 6, Sanchez 7, Urshela 8th, and Andujar 9th. Like those guys are good players and they have upside. So I'll definitely have some bottom of the Yankees stacks. And then the other one I really like is the Angels. Like I said, late game. Don't expect there to be high ownership on them and a lot of upside in that lineup.
Perfect. I love it. All right. Let's get to the home run calls. I'm just going to say that for my favorite stack, I do like the Dodgers. I think that Robbie Ray, even though I like Robbie Ray as a pitcher and he could easily have, 8 strikeouts, 10 strikeouts at any point, he can also give up bombs. And the Dodgers definitely have the power. I think clearly the Yankees are the favorites high price stack. So I think the Dodgers may be a little lower owned than they should be. Not low owned, but just lower owned than they should be. So I like the Dodgers as my favorite stack. But yeah, let's move on. Home run calls, boys. Hoop, I'm actually going to start with you. Let's hear it. Your favorite overall player to go yard, and then maybe a sneakier call under the radar.
All right. So I'll pick a Yankees bat. I'm gonna go Luke Voigt batting fifth. I think tonight, fifth or sixth, maybe it's sixth. Like him, and then another guy kind of under the radar. It's our boy JD Davis. He's treated us right so far this season. I'm going right back to him. I like him, and it's a good spot here for him. So give me another JD Davis dong.
Shout out to Big T. Told everyone that JD Davis was a better player than Mike Trout.
Hey, he was for that night. He was for that night.
Oh. All right, Tony. Give me your favorite home run call and then a sneaky call.
Yeah, I mean, so again, just to reiterate, I think the Yankees definitely have the most power of the night, definitely the best chance to go off. But like usual, I'll pick guys that I'm going to play that I think can hit bombs. You got Free Money Freeman. He had a huge game yesterday. He was 1% owned yesterday, too. This is why I love baseball. I still remember like 2 or 3 years ago, I would tell Hoop every day, like Freddie Freeman's going to be 1% owned. And he'd score 17 points every single night, and no one would ever play him. Literally no one's going to play him tonight. He's 5,600 on DraftKings. No one is playing that. He's going to be 1% again, and he's maybe the best hitter on the entire slate. So sign me up for him to hit a bomb. I'll send out the tweet after he hits it, Free Money Freeman. It's always fun to be a part of. But I like him. I like Hunter Renfroe, like I said, from Tampa.
God, you stole mine.
Yeah, of course I did.
It's a good one.
Yeah. And then both catchers in this game. Give me double duty. Both catchers go yard, Zunino and Flowers.
I love it. Tony just taking all the good plays. So I was going to call Hunter Renfroe and Zunino as my sneaky play, but Tony's stealing it. I got to at least go one other guy just because I can't go with Tony for all of them. I'm going to go Michael Conforto, lefty. He's such a good hitter. I like him a lot. I think he'll be another guy just kind of overlooked. These Mets bats, even the lefties, like some of these lefties, McNeil, Conforto, they can hit lefties. So I'm not worried about that. Give me Conforto and those two cheaper guys. But boys, I think we got through all of MLB. Let's bring it to the NBA. Let's bring it to the association. We got 2 games today. First one we're going to talk about is Utah Jazz versus the New Orleans Pelicans. Big news, Pelicans, Zion Williamson. He worked out. He's going to work out again and then talk to the coach, Gentry, and kind of see how he's feeling. There could be some type of minutes restriction. I personally, I don't get how he doesn't play in some fashion today. Like, unless he's just so out of shape. Like, I can't see how he doesn't get 15 to 20 minutes. Like, that's realistic for someone. First game back, he's getting his legs under him, win back. Like, maybe even 24 minutes. They could do it in 5 to 6 minute stretches where they kind of, 5 minutes, take them out, and they could do that, 4 or 5 times. So I feel like Zion's going to play, but again, make sure you stay up to date and get all the information. It's going to come out before lock, hopefully. So that news. And then other than that, I mean, we got Lou Williams, Trez, those guys are out. P-Bev, have we heard anything on P-Bev? I think right now he's looking doubtful or out.
Yeah, he missed, was not present at shoot-around. So this is what we were kind of talking about last night, where the information is just not going to be as good without the, the beat writers there. All we know is he wasn't at shoot-around, and typically, a guy with a already questionable tag, if they miss shoot-around, most likely not going to play. And it's big news on this slate. It's really big because that makes the Clippers pretty thin. That makes, Reggie Jackson close to a must-play across the board. Boost for Paul George, more ball handling responsibilities for him. So it's big news. You have to assume at this point, though, that he's going to be out. I mean, it was already questionable coming into it, and then he missed his shoot-around.
Problem is we just don't have anything fully confirmed. So don't make sure, obviously this is our best guess for what happens normally, but this is definitely not normal time. So I would make sure you get the confirmation on that. But it is looking like he could be out. Other than that, Anthony Davis seems on track to play. We'll get Anthony Davis runs into the locker room in the second quarter, Big T, and everyone's going to freak out on Twitter. But, that's going to happen. So that means basketball's back, right, Tony?
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, he was like questionable before shoot around yesterday. I think he looked pretty good. I saw. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting in there because we got to pay attention to the news and the Lakers and Clippers. I think they'll play hard tonight, but like I don't see why they'd push Beverly to play if he's not ready. So neither one of these teams should care theoretically about winning, besides just hooping and wanting to get the W.
Yeah. So I think first game back, I think it's going to be the best you're going to get from some of these teams in terms of just the 8 games regular season. They're going to be amped up. They're going to want to go. But I mean, after tonight, I think it's going to be pretty risky with some of these guys. So we'll see.
It's interesting too because these two teams, in my opinion, I think they're the clear top 2 teams in the entire league when they're fully healthy. And I think it's clear that this could end up being the battle for the Western Conference Championship. I definitely see these guys going at it. Like I definitely see these teams. They're not going to run their players out like playoff minutes. That's crazy. They might not even run them out what they were normally getting for the season, like LeBron 33 minutes. Maybe he gets 28 or 30. But like they're definitely going to be competitive and they're going to be trying real hard, I think, in this specific game. So I do agree with Hoop. I think for those teams that are kind of already locked in, you might see the best performances in the first game or two when they're trying to get their chemistry back. They're trying to get like practicing with each other. And for the Clippers, they don't have anyone else to score. They need those guys on the floor. Lou Williams and Trez ran the entire second unit. Without that pick and roll on the floor, their second unit is garbage. It's awful. And then they lose P-Bev, so now Reggie Jackson isn't on the second unit as a scorer. That's a huge thing. So Reggie moves to the starting lineup. So you have to assume that Kawhi and PG, if this game stays close, one of them is going to be on the floor at all times. So whenever one's off the floor, it's going to make that guy the primary scorer all the time. So that's just one thing to think about. But let's start with this first game, guys. Let's start with the Pelicans versus the Jazz. Tony, I'm going to start with you. What are you thinking with this game? I mean, the totals moved up. I talked about how I like the over. I think the over was like 224 when we talked about it at yesterday's show. I think it's moved up. I think it's moved up like 3 or 4. Might be at 227, 228. I haven't looked in a few hours, but what are you thinking about this game?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a fun game for sure. And we got a lot of news. Like Utah obviously has a pretty short rotation. I'm looking at it right now. I mean, 2, 4, 6. I mean, 7 guys. And then after that, you got like Tony Bradley, Niang. I mean, guys like that. So really, they're only going to play 7 guys for the most part. And guys like Ingles, I think for me, get the biggest boost. Just because Bojan obviously is going to be out. Is there anyone else out, or is it just him?
Nope, pretty much it's mainly just him. And
that's a decent chunk of usage, though. Like he chucks, so I like that. I mean, the 2 plays that are the 3 plays, I should say. Clarkson is for sure going to stick out as probably the best value of the night, just because he slides in there and he's perfect in this setting. Honestly. He's a scorer. He's just a hooper, and he's gonna do well in this setting, I believe. His price is cheap. The pace is up. I see him crushing, and Donovan Mitchell has to be popular at this price tag, $7K. I think Rudy Gobert is going to be very popular too. I'm just not a Gobert guy. Like if you guys both tell me I got to play him, maybe I'll play him. But man, I hate Gobert. I hate that I wish he was more expensive so that he wasn't a good play because I hate his game. I don't like his game at all, but I want to hear what you guys got to say about this team because I'm for sure playing Donovan Mitchell. I'm for sure playing Clarkson, probably Conley, Ingles. Like, I like all these guys. Gobert's really the only one I don't like besides just the price.
Yeah, Hoop. So I know that you're going to be on the Jazz because you understand they're clearly one of the tightest rotations right now. It's very locked in. They've got cheap guys. They've got mid-price guys. But really no one's expensive where you got to pay that premium for them, even their best players. So what are you doing? Do you like Gobert? Do you like Mitchell? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a nice situation. I mean, it's a team that we know already runs a fairly tight rotation. They lose one of their key guys that plays like 34 minutes a game and shoots a ton. And that's ideal for DFS. Like, no one really got priced up. Jordan Clarkson is a lock. I mean, he's a guy that's just high usage when he's on the court. He'll be able to dominate that second unit, basically do whatever he wants. So really like him. And I think, Tony might have touched on it. Like the prices on these guys are very fair as well. And the totals come up and just everything is pointing to the Jazz. And I agree with Tony. I hate to do it, but I agree with Tony. Like Gobert's probably my least favorite just because like he's priced. Yes, the price is fair, but like he still needs like in order for him to get there, he has to get like 14 rebounds. He's got to get a couple blocks, work in a steal. Like it's just that's the way his game is. And a lot of times you see games with him where he finishes with 10 points, 10 rebounds, and 1 block, and he just doesn't get there. So he's my least favorite out of the group. I mean, he's still in play. It's a 2-game slate. But I mean, all those guys. Donovan Mitchell's way too cheap. Ingles really like Clarkson. Mike Conley, all solid plays tonight. Very, very solid. It's probably my favorite team overall to target just because you know what you're signing up for. It's a tight rotation. I think they play too. Like the minutes, I think these guys just get in there and play their normal minutes. And that's like the one team that I feel like pretty comfortable saying that about.
Yeah. So this game, I think for sure these guys are both teams will play normal minutes besides maybe Zion because he's coming back. He's probably going to have some restrictions. But other than that, these teams need to win. Like New Orleans needs to win to get into the playoffs. You know what I mean? The Jazz need to, stay in the mix. So I think both these teams play. Now, with Gobert, I'm with both of you. I don't like his game at all. I rarely ever play him. It literally takes probably a 2-game slate for me to play him. But I'll tell you the deal breaker is Zion going to play? Because if Zion plays and they do that thing where Zion starts running at the 5 and they just start running him up and down the court, he's going to be exhausted. He's not going to be able to get tons of rebounds. He's going to be exhausted running up and down the floor. Zion will run him around. For me, on FanDuel specifically, I will play Rudy Gobert if Zion's restricted or he's not playing. But I will not play him on Draftkings because we can play Anthony Davis at the center spot, and then I don't need Gobert in the center spot. So I think that is my plan right now.
You did not just say Zion's going to run someone off the court, did you?
Have you seen him at the 5? You think Gobert can stay in front of him? In the
I saw
open
him
court?
at the 5 before. He's like, there's no way this dude's in shape.
Listen, if he plays 20 minutes or 24 minutes, I don't care how great a shape he's in. He's going to still run and muscle Gobert.
I just take it the opposite way, though. Like, the dude can't shoot. Like, Gobert can rest on defense.
Dude, he's going to muscle him down low. He's going to miss a layup and then push Gobert out of the way, jump a second time, rebound it, and then dunk it.
Kind of like when I pushed you out of the way and stick that rebound in on you.
And you still lost, right?
Where's your picture? You got to get your picture out on one of these shows back there.
I got to get the picture up. I'll get the picture up for you guys in a second. So anything else on this game, that we haven't hit on, guys? I think.
Who are you guys playing on the New Orleans? I want to know who you guys are playing on the New Orleans side because I think it's the more interesting side. Like for me, for being a tournament player, I'm way more contrarian than like hoop. Like, I look at the Lakers and Clippers, and I just don't, in my head, think they go crazy. I'm still going to play them. Like, we'll get to it in a minute, who we like with the game. Like, we'll go more into it. But, like, these prices, they all feel too heavy, but they're all going to play big minutes. And I feel like I should like some of these guys. I want to hear your guys' take on these guys, like Drew and Ingram and Lonzo. And even I know JSU talked up JJ Redick. So I want to hear your guys' takes on these guys.
I'll bring it to you because I know for a fact you're going to say they're expensive.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just for cash games, it's my least favorite team, unless Zion sits. Like if Zion does, I mean, it's not like he's not a lock to play. He's going to go through pregame warmup. He's not a lock to suit up. But like the value is just too good for me to consider. Like Drew Holiday at like 8.6K, Alonzo at 7.4. Just off these guys. I mean, maybe make some good tournament plays. I mean, I'm not I'm more of a cash guy in the NBA. So I guess this is more so a question for you guys, but the prices I don't like. Not a fan of the prices here.
So let me give you a scenario then. So what if they come out and say Zion's going to be limited to, let's say 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Do you say that as like, okay, he's only going to be on the court for 20 minutes. I think Ingram gets, now Ingram's more viable, or Drew or Lonzo. Does that make it a better scenario?
It would be more like if that was the scenario where they say, Zion's going to play, but, upper teens to maybe 20 minutes. And I think I'd try to get in Ingram, who I think would be in a really good spot at that point, more rebounding and everything for him. So Ingram would get a big boost. But I don't think there's going to be a scenario where I'm paying 8-6 for Drew Holiday or even Lonzo. I don't really 7-4.
What about Favors?
Favors would definitely be get a bump. He's 5'8" on DK. I'd definitely consider him.
All right. So my take on this game is I think clearly if you want a game stack, this is the easiest game to game stack because you got the cheap guys from Utah. We talked about Ingles, Clarkson, Mitchell. These guys aren't very expensive to stack together. So I think it's actually you can still stack the New Orleans side of it and give me like a 3-3 or a 4-2 stack with this game. And I kind of like going heavier on the New Orleans side because they're clearly the team in tournaments. People are not going to play. These guys are going to be lower owned. No one's going to pay up for Drew Holiday when they see Paul George at, was he 7-2 or 7-4 on these sites? Like he's so cheap, Paul George. And I love Paul George. I think he's one of the best plays on the slate, point per dollar, period. But no one is going to go up from him and click Drew Holiday's name, in my opinion, and Brandon Ingram at 8-3. So I love that stack in tournaments. You'll probably see one of my 3 lineups. It'll probably have a 4-2 stack with New Orleans and Utah. I'll take the cheapies like the Ingles and Clarkson. I'll pair them with the New Orleans guys. But that's definitely what I'm thinking for this. Tony, do you have any rebuttal or anything that Near Hoop said that you like, disagree with?
Yeah, I mean, I just think they're going to be low owned, and I like their floor. Like, I think if I had to pick a team that's going to play the most minutes, I think it's these guys outside of Zion. Like Drew could play high 30s, and I wouldn't be surprised. Ingram too, Lonzo too. Like, I think these 3 guys are going to play mid to high 30s minutes. Like, they need to win too. They're one of the few teams that need to win in this 8-game sample. I don't know. Like, I'm smart enough to realize they're overpriced. But I think in tournaments they're good plays. So I agree with both of you. Like, we can see they're overpriced. They're definitely not optimal plays, but they could definitely win someone $1 million tonight.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll say on FanDuel specifically, Ingram at 7,300 is a much better play.
Strong
just
play.
Period. If you're going to play Ingram without even Zion news right now, I think you play him over on FanDuel until we get that kind of news. But let's move on to the next game, guys. We got the LA teams playing each other, Clippers versus the Lakers. So I know Tony was on the Lakers. What was it, before the season? You picked the Lakers to win, Tony. I picked the Clippers to win it all. We're talking about who? Did you have a side you took?
Clippers. I picked that was my team to win going in, and
Love it.
Feel better than ever about it. Feel better than ever about it.
So Hoop is sharper than Tony. So now I can officially say there are 2 guys on the show that are sharper than Tony. So I love it. So let's start with you then, because you're on the right side, the Clippers side. As long as Lou Will, stops going out for wings, and breaking the bubble containment, and Harold comes back, I believe that this team is the clear number 1 to the Lakers, who would be number 2 for me. But talk about the Clippers in this Lakers game. Do you like LeBron, AD, or do you like the Kawhi side?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I definitely prefer this game, or like it more than Tony. I mean, the Clippers are. I mean, Lou Williams, Harrell, and most likely Pat Beverly all out. Like, someone's gonna have to do something. Someone's gonna have to score. I mean, that's a lot of offense. I mean, Lou Williams and Harrell have basically been carrying this offense for an 8-minute stretch at the end of the first through the second quarter, the third quarter into the fourth. Like, these other guys are going to have to step in and pick it up. So, I mean, it's a huge – I mean, Paul George, the price is pretty silly on both sides. He's a phenomenal play. He'll be one of the highest-owned guys. But then Kawhi Leonard, I mean, very strong play. Reggie Jackson, very strong play. You can look to guys like Marcus Morris, JaMychal Green. I think all are strong plays. Noah should get some run. Zubac, I didn't even realize it, but they said he had corona, and he's still kind of battling back. I mean, I do think this game ends up going small. So, I mean, I was higher on Noah early on in the day, but I think he plays 18 to 20 minutes, and he's a super active guy when he's out there. So I think he's a fine value play Dwight Howard's 3.2K, like another guy probably only going to play 15 minutes, but he can definitely pay that off in 15 minutes. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, all strong plays. So it's I'm definitely higher on this one than Tony is.
All right, so before we get to Tony, let me just give you guys a picture. If you didn't watch the Clippers' last scrimmage, this is what happened. They were up about 18 points going into the fourth quarter. They took Kawhi and PG out of the game. It was for sure they were not supposed to come back in the game at all. Like, they were supposed to be done. Or it was the end of the third quarter. There was still a few minutes left in the third quarter. The Kings stormed back, and they closed the gap within like 4 points in like a 4-minute stretch or something. Like, it was crazy. Buddy Hield was going off. And I couldn't believe it. Kawhi Leonard actually came back into the game at the start of the fourth quarter just to play for a few minutes because they literally couldn't score a bucket with that second unit. This is how bad their second unit is. So nationally televised game. I don't see a way if this game stays close where they're like not playing their main guys solid minutes. So I honestly wouldn't worry too much about guys like Kawhi and PG. I think they see their 30 minutes, 32 minutes maybe, because they got to build them back into game shape, especially for this game against the Lakers. Other games they'll probably rest. Like, I could clearly see games where they might just say, hey, PG, take it off, or Kawhi, take it off. But Tony, what do you think about this game and the studs at the top? Clearly, 4 of the best players in the league are in this game.
Yeah, so this is why I struggle at NBA at times. I just go with my reads, and I just don't see it from the Clippers. And believe me, I think you two are 2 of the best players in NBA wise in the world, DFS NBA wise. So I respect what you guys are saying. My basketball mind tells me they're going to play 10 dudes, which they play down to Terrence Mann, maybe 11 dudes counting that coffee guy.
He's going to play.
Yeah, I think they're going to play. I just know how Doc Rivers is. I think Paul George and Kawhi both play like 29 minutes, maybe 30, right in that range. But Kawhi, I can almost guarantee I'm not playing Kawhi. Paul George looked great in the scrimmages. I'm for sure going to play Paul George. He's just too cheap. But Kawhi at 9,200, I don't know. I'm sure he's high on FanDuel too. I'm just not playing Kawhi. I don't see him pushing hard. Reggie Jackson's a great play, obviously, especially if Beverly's out. But man, I think they play a ton of guys, and I'm playing tournaments, obviously. And tonight I'm focusing on the 150 entries, both sites, trying to win this $1 million out there. I'm going to take a hard stance on this game, I think, and for the most part faded. I'm going to play Paul George. I'm going to play Reggie Jackson. I might play like JSU can talk here in a minute about a guy like Coffee or some of these scrubs that I just think they're going to play 11 or 12 guys, so I don't want to spend my salary. And that's the Clippers side. I think that. And the Lakers more of the same. So I'm definitely not going to play any of the scrubs from the Lakers where I think they all play a ton too, like Deion Waiters, J.R. Smith, try to get these guys some run, get them comfortable. I think the casual people in this Millie Maker will play, obviously, LeBron and AD and Kawhi and Paul George just because they're the names they know, and you can spend salary. There's so much salary out there to spend because there's cheap guys. So I think I'll play more of the first game. I'm not saying I'm going to full fade all these guys, but I'm definitely not going to play 3 of them on the same team. Probably LeBron or AD, I'll never play them together. And then I'm not playing Kawhi. So maybe at most 2 stars from this game. I just don't see it. I know it's not the optimal. I agree with you guys. I agree with Hoop. I'm probably wrong as far as the optimal, but it's just my read on the game. I'm going to try to win $1 million tonight. I'm going to fade this game more than most people will.
Yeah, honestly, I have a bigger lean on the first game. I think that's the better game to stack up if you want a stack up game. But clearly these guys are going to be these are the guys that people are paying up for, right? AD, LeBron, Kawhi. Kawhi's 9,500 on FanDuel. Everyone on FanDuel is playing either Kawhi or James or both. For sure. Not many people, I don't think not many people are going to start their builds and play Brandon Ingram and Joe Ingles. I don't think, as opposed to playing Joe Ingles and Kawhi or Joe Ingles and LeBron, right? Like they're going to play one of those studs and then one of Ingram and Joe Ingles. So like from Tony's standpoint, if Tony's looking at it that way, then I'd be locking in Ingles and Ingram and then kind of moving on at that position and just praying that, like he said, they play 11. Like clearly the Lakers could play 12 guys or 11 guys like that.
I don't see any way the Clippers aren't playing 11 or 12 dudes. Like there's no scenario.
I mean, they could. You talked about Coffee. I think he definitely gets run. Doc Rivers talked about how much he liked him after the first scrimmage. He had a pretty good first scrimmage. Had a decent second scrimmage. Like, he's not like an amazing basketball player, but Doc Rivers talked about his intangibles, and he liked the kid a lot. And so I do see them, if Tony's right and they're playing that many guys, I see him as one of the guys that definitely gets burned off the bench that no one is going to play because no one even knows about him. So it's just someone to think about if you're in 150 and you're maxing that thing out. I wouldn't play him in like a 3 entry or a single entry, but if you're 150 and I get a little taste of some Coffee. So I'm gonna for sure. But anything else on this game, guys?
Yeah, one other thing we forgot to mention, Rondo's out, and that plays a role as well. I mean, he's 15 to 20 minute guy, all ball handling, and he's out. So I mean, that's definitely a boost to LeBron. I think that's definitely a boost to Caruso. He's a punt play you can throw into the conversation. I just feel better about this game overall. After this initial opening night, yeah, I think there's going to be some concern, but like I feel pretty good with Kawhi playing like 32 minutes, LeBron playing 33. Anthony Davis is the one, I think could, be in the high 20s, maybe 30, but his rotations, like if they stick with their rotations, like he was playing the entire first quarter during that regular season before the restart. So I'll be curious, or before the stoppage. So I'll be curious to see what they do. But I just feel a little bit better about the minutes than Tony does.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm kind of with you. I do feel okay about these minutes, even though I think the Lakers, if anyone, Tony's worried about the Clippers. It seems like a little more than the Lakers. No, I think the Lakers are the one you should worry about the most.
I mean, if the Clippers, even if they do play 11 guys, like they're replacing, 30 from Lou Williams, they're replacing 30 from Harrell, they're replacing potentially 30 from Pat Beverly. So I mean, they're gonna sprinkle in those guys and kind of divvy up those minutes, even if they go 11 deep. It can't really affect Paul George, Paul George wasn't even playing much in the before the stoppage. So I just don't really think it affects those guys. I feel better about them getting into the low 30s here.
And I mean, you could even give them their floor of like 22 minutes, and that's still over 60 minutes of floor time that they're missing. Like if they all saw 20, that's a lot of time missing. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think the Clippers I'm more confident about than the Lakers, because I could see the Lakers testing out J.R. Smith, Markieff Morris, Dion Waiters. They've got a bunch of new people. And I think a question that we're going to get, especially when we get into the Discord before lock, people are going to start asking us about JR, Dion, Danny Green, who do we play out of these guards? And I mean, I would play Danny Green probably if I had to pick, just because he's locked in the starter minutes. I forgot about KCP. He's another guy. I mean, JR, I guess, would be the dark horse for me, like on DK, if you're playing a bunch of lineups and you want a 3-point guy. But I don't know. Like, I think outside of Danny Green, I might stay away from these shooting guards because people are going to play them just because they want to be a little different. And I just don't like it. They're going to have so many guys. It's too hard to pin down, right?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, they have especially at those positions, like, shooting guard, small forward. I mean, there's just so many different guys they can throw in there, and who knows what they're going to do. I mean, obviously they're going to want to get J.R. Smith involved. He's got the, relationship with LeBron James. They've had success playing with each other in the past. He could be valuable for them come the playoffs. So that's just such a volatile situation. The other, this game could easily go small too. I mean, the Clippers obviously love going small. I mean, they could do something where they have, JaMychal Green at the 5, like they're fine doing something like that. And then, the Lakers could obviously match. So, It's interesting. I mean, it's a 2-game slate, and obviously we're excited. Basketball's back, man. It's good, even though we disagree on some of the games tonight.
That just makes it fun, though. We can't agree on everything.
Yeah, and we usually get at each other's throat a little bit, Tony and I. But it was a casual, friendly conversation. No one took any shots. I mean, it's a change of pace for us.
Oh, we still got a couple minutes if you guys want to start taking shots at each other. I'm all in for it. But guys, we got 217 people watching right now, and we only got 54 likes. We just gave you MLB. We broke down the whole MLB slate. NBA talk. We only got 54 likes, Tony.
I mean, I say it every show, but yeah, you got to hit the like button. If we get over 100 here, we're at 56. We can't give out gear unless we get over 100, but we'll be on for a little bit longer. If we can get that, 218 watching, that's only half the people liked, and we give out some gear. We'll pick a name, we'll send it out. Hoop's got the shirt and the hat on right now, the good stuff. We'll send you one of each if we get over 100.
Yeah, you hit that like button, hit that thumbs up. It helps us keep pumping out free content, guys. If you aren't subscribed, and you like this free content, hit that thumbs up for sure, because it keeps us going right now. We don't want to just, take these free shows away from you guys. We want to keep pumping it out. We want to keep giving it to the people. So hit that thumbs up button. You'll get that nice Rum Pure Sports hat that Hoop is sporting for everyone right now, the T-shirt. So we'll pick someone. Let's get over that 100 mark. But boys, maybe let's give our favorite play of the night while we're kind of rounding out the show. Tony, I'll bring it to you. Don't give me give me someone who's not complete. And it's a 2-game slate, but don't give me one of the best players in the league. Don't say LeBron or Paul George. Give me someone. Give me someone under the radar, kind of.
So I think it has to come for me. It has to come from New Orleans, and it depends on a lot with Zion, but I think in a Millie Maker type tournament, which is all I'm focusing on tonight, like I said already, a guy like Nico Melli, he's 4K. He can stretch the floor and stretch Gobert out to where they want Gobert out of the paint. Zion, even if he plays, maybe he plays low 20s and Melli slips in and plays 20s, and maybe he gets hot. He's the type of guy that can make some shots. JSU didn't talk about it on this show, but maybe he can here for a second, about how the shooters might shoot better in this surroundings with no fans and stuff. I'll let JSU talk about it because his deal in a minute. But Nico Melli's my guy. If he gets hot, sure, he's not going to be an optimal guy. There's no way Hoop likes him, but I like him. Obviously, if Zion's out, Melli's going to be a great play. But even if Zion's in, I kind of like him in a Millie Maker. You never know. New Orleans is going to be my team for sure to kind of find some guys.
Yeah, for sure. And we just got this update, or I just saw this a few minutes ago, that Nico Melli will start if Zion Williamson is ruled out, still under that reconditioning tag. So he's going to go through another round of conditioning probably soon, and we'll get that update. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But just real quick, and then we got to, bounce out of there. So guys, don't forget to hit that like button. We got 15 more to give out free swag. But just from a shooting standpoint, most of these shooters, when they're practicing, they're in these gyms, they're alone, there's no crowd, it's just kind of their team or they're by themselves. This is going to have that kind of practice, gym, by yourself, warm up feel. These guys are just going to be so comfortable. No one's going to be yelling, screaming in their ear. There's no away crowd, chomping at you. It's just going to be, everyone's relaxed. I think everyone's going to be kind of, just really locked in. And then a bunch of shooters were kind of talking about how the background of the hoop, where it's kind of darker, blacked out kind of, is better for them when they're shooting from deep. And I don't know if that's true, but I was just listening to, I think it was Devin Booker maybe, but it was one of those top shooters in the league. And he was just talking about how it's just easier for them to kind of focus when they're out there. It helps them. So just something to think about. But I clearly think there's a shooting advantage. I clearly think that these guys practice all day in these empty gyms. It's going to feel that way.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, I agree.
But Tony, it looks like we're going to be 12 short, and we got to kind of scoot out of here. So, guys, we really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Make sure if you haven't got over to Run Pure Sports, get over there now. We're going to be in the Discord chat all the way up through lock. So if you have a question, you're in there, at me, at Hoop. I know I'll be in there. I got to get my cores up, but I'll be in there for at least 30 or 40 minutes up to lock. So, shoot me a question. I'll definitely get back to you in the NBA channel. But for me, JSU, Big T.
Get this Millie tonight. Someone ship this Millie in the Run Pure team.
There you go. Ship the Millie, RPS